Yep, it was pretty hot yesterday, so the worm farms are drying out. Better give them a bit of a drink to keep them nice and moist. That way they'll be happy, and even better, hopefully, hungry. Once we get these done, I'm super excited to have a look at the cocoon numbers in box number 2. Yep, that's my breeding bin, and it hasn't been opened or checked since it started for cocoon numbers. Whoa, this is super exciting. Watch the show to find out more, guys. Marty's Garden is all about compost worms, composting, farming worms indoors and out, and growing some of the most awesome food around. You can learn how by clicking the subscribe button and hitting the bell so you don't miss any of my videos.
Welcome world to the Marty's Garden Show.
So here they are, and today I'm going to choose the breeding bin number 2. Okay, so let's get started by removing this. I'm just pulling back this little granny blanket there that's made out of cotton. You can see the towels nearly disappeared. And I'm going to grab one section, put it over on this piece of plastic, and take a good look so we can have a look at the numbers. Now that looks really promising. I can see a cocoon there that's nearly ready to hatch, sitting right on top. Awesome. Alright guys, let's switch over to the macro camera. The sound isn't as good, but the imagery is. Let's do this. So, this is the first time I call this box 2 with 250 worms with my special blend for the cocoons for the indoor breeding boxes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it out and look for cocoons. I've got my glass here. Now basically I've only got one handful, so I'm going to put my glasses on and we're going to go through and count how many cocoons are in here. Now the reason I'm using this little tiny camera is the audio is not as good, but the lens is great for macro stuff, and you know, being my eyes not being so fantastic. And we're going to look for little tiny baby wisps as well, because you know, they're obviously hatching out of their cocoons now, because this is around about 6 weeks old. So that, you know, the worms start laying within about a week, and then within about 2-3 weeks, you know, they're coming out again. So week 4 to week 5, you're getting most of your cocoons, and then, you know, like 3 weeks later, you're getting little wisps come out. So really, you know, sort of like within the last 2 weeks is sort of the time when all these cocoons are hatching, and you can see they're really red over here, which is really awesome. I'm just going to try and keep the camera as nice and still as possible. And so they're nearly ready to hatch, those guys, and they're good sized cocoons, and this material is nice and moist. One of the other farms I checked was a bit drier than this one, and I don't think it has many cocoons in there, but I only just checked really quickly. So moisture plays a big role, and where the moisture is is trapped with the food, they seem to be laying more cocoons. So I'm just going through this and I'm finding lots and lots of cocoons. Look, there's a little baby wisp that would have just only come out recently of the cocoon. He's only that size, and that's about the size they are when they come out. They're just like a little pinprick size. And so I'll just keep finding through this. Now, it's not going to be the most awesome camera work that I do, but we're going to achieve a result here. And if I keep sifting through and push it to one side where I've sifted, that will help, won't it? So I don't have Karen here today to sort of do the camera, unfortunately. She's at school, because she helps me a lot when the school holidays are on, and through the weekdays I can't get her to film as much because she's got homework and things like that. So, you know, we've got to let her do her schoolwork. It's very important, other than play video games all the time. And so as we're going through this, we're finding cocoons. And remember, probably 50% of these are already hatched, I would say. There's 2 stuck together there, another one there. So I've only gone through like less than a quarter of this, and I found around about 10 or 11 already. We'll be bringing it up on 12. And a little wisp here. We've got this guy, he's not very happy. We'll put you back into the farm, mate. As we go through and find some of these worms, we'll put them back into the farm and keep moving through here. I'll see, if I go back, I've missed one there already, see, so I'm not going to get every one. But what I want to do is just sift through a little bit and then find a cocoon each time. And that's what I'm doing. See, I'm just sifting through that other little bit there, finding lots of cocoons. And there is a way to check cocoon density. Me just being, you know, I'm a micro farmer and I farm worms to grow and make compost, my artisan compost. So I've never really worried about too much about going into this so deeply. But now that I'm moving into micro farming and worms are possibly going to be, well, they already are a part of my profitable system, you know, they're going to, obviously, as they multiply and lay more cocoons. See, I'm going through that again. I've missed so many. That is just nuts. So I just went back through it a second time and realised that, hey, I missed more than half just then. And so hopefully that wind's not messing up the camera too much. Another little wisp there. See? Coming out. I'm using this little Sony camera. It's called a WX500 and it has a little flippy screen, and at the moment I'm just holding it on a tripod, and it's pretty good for a 5-year-old camera. We'll put that back in there. And I know you guys, you worm nerds, don't mind too much digging around into this type of stuff and seeing what's in here and seeing what results I'm getting. Now remember, this was the recycled cocoa peat with the horse manure, the old aged horse manure, and it's broken down into the perfect medium now. And so I'm just going to flip that over again and just make sure I didn't miss any. I'm pretty happy with that. I think I've got about 20 over here already, and we'll keep sifting through this a little bit more. I just want to see that there's good solid numbers, so when I do go through this whole farm and sift it, that I'm going to be getting quite a lot of eggs, and that this system is working, because we're in, like I said, we're into week 6 now, and I'm finding lots of very ripe, ready to go cocoons. Look, I'm pulling them up every few seconds here, and we've got a bit of wind breezing into here, so you know, I'm trying to keep this production as good as possible. And let's go over here and look. I'll show you. I'm getting lots. That's just insane. Man, there was a mix. There's only 250 worms in here now. People are putting 500 to 1,000 worms in a 10-litre box like this, but my worms were, I just didn't want them to overcrowd too much and escape, and I'm keeping them, you know, for another reason, to keep those stocks up, because the drought, they just weren't breeding in the compost rows outside because there wasn't enough moisture. And so I brought them inside to save them. We'll get this little guy and bring him in. We'll put you, come on mate, we'll put you back in the worm farm over there, and we'll keep moving through. You can see they're nice and healthy, look. It's very, very cool. And so I'm just going to flip this bit over again and then move it. See, I just threw that on top, and there's another one. So I'm not going to keep going through this. Obviously, this breeding box, I would call it a success for the first run. I am really, really happy with that result. And I'll probably just put the cocoons back in. See, there's a fairly young worm. He wouldn't have been too long out of the cocoon. You know, maybe 10 days or something like that. They fatten up pretty quick when the food's ripe for them. And we'll put him back into the farm as well, into the breeding box. And the moisture, when I'm holding this, it's cool and there's a lot of moisture in it, and I didn't want to squash another cocoon there. So look, I will be able to go through this breeding box no problem and sift it. And we'll just move this guy over here. This nice big breeding box, which started on 18th of the 1st, the 20th. And now I think we're around about 2nd or the 3rd at the moment, depending when this video is released. Look, and just another big one sitting straight on top of there like that. Now that's a nice sized cocoon, nice and ripe. Wow, that is just awesome. And oh yeah, look, I just keep digging through. I would call that step 1 breeding box success. So we've got an escapee worm here. And that means that I need to get more material and start putting cocoons into other boxes. So it means I'm possibly behind time here because I've got more boxes over here. So we've got another 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And the one that we are looking at here, number 6. That is just mad. Hallelujah. So let's do a bit of a recap on what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is, are the cocoon numbers raising up? Are we getting more and more through the weeks as these farms mature and as the worms feel more comfortable in their habitat? And is the food enough, such as the cocoa pit and the horse manure? Now, they're pretty happy in here from what I've found so far, and cocoon numbers seem to be increasing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create some more farms, which is really awesome because all the cocoons are going to come out of bin 1 and 2. And originally they were going to go out into the windrows, all these worms and cocoons, to repopulate my artisan compost. But because we've been getting some rain, I've noticed that they are starting to repopulate, and I can keep these inside and keep moving with the micro farm indoors as well. So exciting stuff. We've got baby wisps in the other farms which need to come out and be separated. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to film all this and show you in the series. So I'm going to leave the link up above in the card, whichever one it is up here. And also at the end of the video, there'll be another card for you so you can watch the series if you've missed any and you want to learn and follow this show. Because the Marty's Garden Micro Farm is really coming along, and I believe that it's got a big future. And I am happy to share this with you about the breeding boxes because I don't feel there's enough information around out there. I'm fairly new to doing this type of breeding boxes. Got a lot of experience with small worm farms and the windrows. But this is a new system that I want to try and create so I can replicate it and scale up and farm more worms and have more control of my numbers and possibly even turn over a profit. How cool will that be? Alright, keep an eye on the show, guys. I'm Marty Ware from Marty's Garden. Here comes the hand. Give us a big thumbs up before you leave. Music on. But for now.
There's dirt on my head.